Hey everyone, what's good? It's your girl Aisha, and this is my second episode of Spoken Unapologetically. This episode, we are going to be talking about survival mode. It's for the ones who have spent too long in survival mode, running on autopilot, always on edge, constantly holding it all together. This is about what it feels like to leave that behind slowly and learn how to live in peace again or for the first time. Me personally, I feel like we all kind of struggle. I mean, this could just be me. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I know for me, for sure, I have different seasons in my life where I'm in survival mode and then I'm not. For most of my life, throughout most of my upbringing, yeah, I have lived in survival mode. But when I learned what it felt like and looked like to not be in that, oh my gosh, breath of fresh air, felt like a whole different person. Like, what? That's Aisha? Who's that? Like, it just felt so freeing, and that's just something I want everybody to feel and discover for themselves. But even when you discover that, it is very normal and okay for us to have seasons where we're back in that because we heal most of our lives, if not all, like there's always things to work on and heal and improve. There's so many things within me that I've had to heal and things that I discover as I get older that, oh, dang, that still needs healing, or I actually need to heal that and I didn't realize I needed to. So I know I'm constantly working on healing, not being in survival mode, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. So yeah, here is episode 2, healing after or during survival mode, choosing peace over chaos. Thanks for being here with me. Let's get into it. So survival mode has shaped me so much. I feel like most of my life I was functioning off survival mode, just surviving everyday life, doing what I had to do or what I felt like I was supposed to do to get through the day and to avoid conflict or avoid rejection. It just became something that was normal. And I know a lot of people can relate to that feeling. It just felt so normal to live in constant tension and constant anger, stress and people pleasing and exhaustion. I know the younger version of me, queen of people pleasing, because I felt like that is what would keep things calm and keep people not mad at me. Now, current version of Aisha, we don't people please as much, because I understand like how detrimental that can be to my growth and just overall state of being. So yeah, I finally decided like I want to stay in college. I made the decision to start healing. And when I made that decision, it didn't feel empowering at first because it was so unfamiliar. It felt so uncomfortable. It felt so foreign and scary as hell because I had no idea what that was going to look like. I did not know what life outside of survival mode looked like. And you see people on social media, like, which, social media can be a lie because anyone can put anything. But like you see people living, it's what seems like happy, genuinely happy and peaceful lives. You're like, wow, I wonder what that looks like or what that feels like. And I wanted to know what that felt like. So I had to relearn what peace or learn for the very first time what it felt like, what it looked like, and remind myself that that peace was what was actually safe. And don't get me wrong, I still catch myself where I'm still slipping back into survival patterns. But now I know I have the awareness to choose differently when I'm back in that state. So I know there are some things, I've made a list. There's ways in which we all feel like we're functioning in survival mode. Some of that being constantly feeling on edge or alert, overthinking and replaying conversations over and over and over again to protect yourself from rejection or conflict. I know that's something I struggle with a lot. I'm constantly overthinking or replaying what was said in the past so that either because I'm overanalyzing the situation and reading too deeply on the other person's emotions and trying to understand what are they really truly thinking that they may not be telling me. Or I'm like, how could I have said something differently? How could I have reacted differently or responded differently so that this doesn't happen again in the future? As far as like constantly feeling alert or on edge, kind of just like looking for what might go wrong or scanning or again, over reading. I feel like it's so easy for a lot of us because calmness feels scary. Calmness feels unfamiliar. So when things are actually calm, me tend to self-sabotage and create an issue out of nothing. And, like when things are actually calm, you're like, oh no, something's going to happen. Like you prepare yourself for the worst when really it could have just been calmness, like what it was. Like everything was actually okay. But because you're so used to living high alert, you're like, when's the next thing? What's the next thing that's going to happen? And when is it going to happen? Another thing I know I struggle with, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too, is difficulty relaxing even when things are calm or allowing yourself to rest. Because what is rest? And I'm just used to telling myself that I just need to do. Because if I do, I feel like there's less chances of things going wrong. But really, when you overwork yourself and you're not allowing yourself to rest, that's where you're allowing tension to build up and anger and resentment. And instead, that makes things more harder than what they need to be. I know something else that I struggle with is feeling guilty. And to kind of tie with that, like feeling guilty when you are resting or doing something for yourself. Again, that rest and rejuvenation and doing for yourself, whether it's hobbies you love or whatever, like that is real self-love and real self-care and healing more than doing and keeping yourself busy. Because when you're able to do those things for yourself, you're able to better learn more about yourself and become more aligned with yourself and breathe and be your own person. Like life is so fast paced and we're constantly doing things every day to where we get stuck. When we get stuck in things outside of ourselves, and when you allow yourself that, that time to just be and pour into yourself, you realize what really truly matters, and that's you. Sorry, I kind of like my ADHD brain kind of just like I started thinking about something else, and I was like, what was I saying? But hopefully that made sense. Anywho, I know a lot of people struggle with numbing out, zoning out, doom scrolling, keeping themselves busy when emotions feel way too freaking heavy. You just don't want to deal with your emotions. So let me go just keep myself busy or just freaking mentally check out. I'll be doing the mentally checking out and the scrolling. Feeling responsible for keeping peace or taking care of others even when you're completely drained and depleted. Struggling to plan long term because you're always focused on what needs to be done right now. I am kind of a little bit opposite. Like I feel like it's so hard for me to focus on what I need to do right now and take those baby steps now because I'm so worried about the future. So yeah, the ways that I still struggle or can struggle with functioning survival mode still is emotional hypervigilance. I am constantly, or I tend to overread the emotional temperature of others, especially my significant other, to anticipate how to respond. I feel like, and that is what makes me reactive and defensive because I have a guard up. So I'm like, your body language is a little off, but really they can be completely fine. But because I'm overreading, it just creates something into something, nothing into something. And so that makes me like hold back my feelings because I've learned safety sometimes depends on staying emotionally balanced for somebody else, or I can't express how I feel until I know fully how the other person feels. And I know that is not it. So, still working on that. But self-blame and overthinking, oof, queen of overthinking, especially when I'm in seasons like I am right now, where I am pregnant and still breastfeeding, so my emotions and hormones are just all over the place. Whew. So I tend to find myself still living constantly in my head. And I feel like I'm in a season where I am telling myself, like, you could do better, or if I just do better with this or that, like it's a form of self-protection, right? Because I am just trying to prevent myself from feeling any pain that I'm anticipating or rejection I'm also anticipating. And it may not even be something that's coming, it's kind of like that coping pattern from survival mode that helps me or us feel in control when things feel unstable. Having too much responsibility over all at once. Carrying a lot, motherhood, content creation, managing the home, planning for the future without Phil. My camera died. Sorry, guys. But so, yeah, having so much on your plate, basically, because it's easy for me to equate doing with being safe when that is just further exhausting me because because it's easy to like forget that stillness doesn't mean you're unproductive. It doesn't equal to unproductivity. If you're doing it for a little too long, you're just being complacent, then okay, cool. But like if you are typically productive, it's okay for you to sit your ass down and breathe and tend to yourself instead of other people and other things, all that will be there tomorrow. Everyday reminder to you and to me, because we forget. Another thing that I know I've struggled with growing up and even still now is difficulty feeling safe and calm. Like I am constantly, like I kind of talked about this, like constantly anticipating the next problem or situation that's going to happen, the next disruption. What if this calmness doesn't last? What if like this good job or this good vibe in my relationship, this good friendship, like what if that doesn't last? Why the hell are we thinking about that? Like, why the hell do we do that? I just like, but again, it's like what we're used to, survival mode, constantly feeling on edge. We're just used to constantly feeling under threat, right? That's what I was trying to get to. Like it's so, especially if you function in that most of your life. In a way, a little part, I feel like there'll always be a little part of me that is used to that way of living. And that's why I'm trying to rewire that, because let's lower that percentage or chance of me always functioning that way. That's just not it. And the danger doesn't even have to be physical for us to be feeling it under threat all the time. It's just like it's our body's way of saying, I don't feel safe enough to thrive or rest or trust that everything is how it needs to be or everything's okay, and kind of anticipating the next wrong thing. And that, whenever I do that, I know how I come off, whether it's my relationship or whatever else. Like my anxiety can make me self-sabotage. And then I think like, oh yeah, I fucked up. So now something is going to happen. And then I get into that cycle of being overthinking and stuck in my head and anticipating the worst. And then I'm in survival mode. And last but not least, suppressing my needs. Oh, wow. Are we surprised, that a lot of us do this? I feel like a lot of us are getting better though and more aware. And when it comes to ourselves and our needs, and that we have the power to be our own individuals. Because I grew up not thinking that. Like I grew up thinking I had to live for others, right? Fuck that. But no, you deserve to put yourself first. You should put yourself first in a good, selfish way, not in an arrogant or conceited or whatever type of way. But yeah, so I would often prioritize other people's emotional comfort, wanting to keep things okay, to avoid things from going wrong, from feeling abandoned just by minimizing my own needs. Like I know for sure, like in my current relationship, we've been together for 4 years. I know earlier in our relationship, the first year for sure, I was definitely doing that because that is what I grew up being used to seeing and doing with my own family, right? Like I feel like I need to make sure I do everything they want me to do, or make sure I'm doing things to prevent them from ever feeling a certain way so that they will never want to abandon me and that they will always love me as much as I love them. Unhealthy and so sad. So yeah, that right there is like classic survival mode behavior. Just, avoiding conflict or rejection to preserve that connection. But then you lose yourself along the way. And then when you hit rock bottom, hopefully it does for others like it did for me. I mean, I hit rock bottom so many times before I even got to this point in college where I hit that major rock bottom that really woke me the fuck up. But like, obviously, until you hit that one very significant one where you're like, oh, hell no, what the hell have I been doing? Like, this is not who I am. I may not know who I am, but I just know this is not who I am or what I want or what I deserve. So yeah, some things I did really quickly. Recap, I've said before, things I've done to help me while in survival mode to get out of it is regulation, breath work, grounding, stretching, self-validation, saying affirmations to myself. I am, no matter how stupid it is, or no matter how stupid it feels, it truly does rewire your brain. I'm telling you. Boundaries, so freaking hard to learn. So hard, but necessary. Let others sit with their own discomfort instead of rescuing, or over-explaining. I rest without feeling guilty, reminding myself that rest is not laziness. Instead, it's what restores me, makes me feel full again, and longer term mindset. Being planning from vision and desire rather than fear or urgency, and letting go of perfectionism. And knowing that doing what I want to do truly, that aligns truly with my heart and my own personal passions will always be the way to go. And it's okay not to know. So yeah, I love to remind myself and others that you are allowed to stop surviving and start living. You are allowed to choose peace, even if chaos is all you've known most of your life. Healing doesn't always feel good at first, but for sure, we know healing can take so long, even most of our lives, right? And there's many things you may have to heal, but that all won't, like time frame wise, it may not look the same. Like some things might take longer to heal than other things. But one thing for sure is that it does open up the door for freedom 100%. Because yeah, just that, it always opens up the door for freedom. And just because living survival mode or survival patterns have served you once doesn't mean it's your forever. And you are safe to soften. You are worthy of more than just making it through the day or doing things a certain way to keep things calm or to live in fake safety. You are allowed to live a life of peace and genuine happiness. So yeah, I'm still learning that, but I have learned a lot. Like I said, whenever I do find myself back in that headspace, in that state of being, I am grateful that I'm now in a place where I am more aware of it, to where I can figure out what my mind and my body needs in this moment. Because I may look different. Journaling has been hard. That's why I've been doing videos or doing my podcast, because writing down, feels like I have way too much on my mind to be able to sit and write that all down. I just do not have the energy it's just too overwhelming for me right now. And I feel like it does just about the same. But I will say, like, there are moments where I'm like, writing it down feels like more meaningful. It feels like I'm really releasing a lot of the weight I'm carrying. But you just gotta figure out what's gonna work for you in this current moment or season. But I know one thing for sure is we got this. There's a reason why we go through certain things, especially if it's shitty. No, even when it's shitty, sorry. Even when it's shitty, there's a reason why we're going through things. We just have to try our best to shift our perspective as to what is it that, if you believe in God, like me, what is God trying to get me to learn about myself, see about the people around me or environment or work situation I'm in, and how can I use some of the things I'm learning from the season to help me grow more into a peaceful and more happy version of myself. And again, survival mode does not have to be something you live in forever. Although it's hard and it's a journey, you can get there. Just try your best to give yourself grace and trust in the process, even when you don't know what that looks like. Even if the unknown can be so scary. It's so scary for me, even now, But when we allow ourselves to let go of that control, because when you have survival patterns, most of the time, you're in those patterns because you're used to trying to keep control over things out of self-protection. But when you are finally in a place where you're able to kind of let go a little bit more and let God, things start to make sense more. And you're able to use that season for, I don't know, it shapes you. It just shapes you, right? And it'll always stick with you, and it'll allow you to keep being the best version of yourself or better version of yourself and help those around you. It helps you gain wisdom. So yeah, hopefully that all makes sense, because sometimes when I'm talking to you guys, my ADHD really kicks in and I'm like, oh, this girl on the tree. Oh, this guy's pretty. And I'm like, damn, did what I just said make sense? Because I don't know. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Please let me put in the comments some of the things you kind of go through, or in what ways you function in survival mode, how you relate or how you differ. I would love to hear you guys' stories. I appreciate you guys so much. Seriously, and I hope God blesses you and you have a great rest of your day, weekend, week, whatever it may be. But yeah, see you guys next episode. This is your host, Aisha Ravan, and we are out.